Today we ask the age-old question, war, what is it good for? Well, a lot actually. I was inspired by Rosie the Riveter and Richard Nixon's address to the nation on Labor Day. Rosie here promoted people to go to work during the World War II, and this is inspiring because she helped increase economic output and put everyone back to work. Nixon's speech was given during the Cold War, and he helped solidify that everyone should be socially and politically cohesive. And what's similar between these two? They both occurred during a wartime. So this introduced my idea and told me, how has foreign conflict in the United States affected American lifestyle and output? Well, we gotta start from the roots. Let's look at our past. Socially, civilians worked together and felt a sense of unity. Human interaction specialist found that during the Vietnam War, many people and soldiers felt closer to their peers because of this warring time. That, in turn, creates a more cohesive and strengthened society. Economically, after World War II, the economy was pulled out of the Great Depression, and the Great Depression was a horrible time where the economy crashed. But because of World War II, and the production that came with that, we were able to come out of that. Politically, strong democracy is born. Because during the Vietnam War, Korean War, and World War II, there were many protesting against it. And because we're a democracy, we allowed people to be heard, and people felt safe and secure in the United States because they had a democracy and were allowed to argue. Let's look at what's happening now and how war is affecting us now. Socially, during the Iraq War, people were willing to protect others by giving up certain rights. And a researcher of popular opinion found that 61% of people were willing to do that. That, in turn, shows that we are strong enough to keep what our country that is built on everyone having rights that everyone there is willing to protect it. Economically, we have secured our oil. Oil is a huge part of the economy today. And because we are in the Middle East, because of conflict, we are able to make sure our oil is secure. Politically, the United States has been realized as a big power in how it protects. The United States runs the UN and has been asked to come to several different conferences between warring countries in order to facilitate peace. Let's look at what our future is going to look like. Well, our future socially is going to look bright because our children become problem solvers. Parkman and Suk, a psychologist, found that children are able to problem solve better and become able to cope with obstacles if their parents are deployed. This creates a group of children that are able to be strong leaders and strong problem solvers for the future. And that in turn can rub off on other children to make a more strengthened society for the future. Economically, higher trade with allied countries during and after wars. It has shown that during wars, we tend to go to other countries for more money or for more supplies, and we tend to become more in trade with them as that happens, and we create allies, which then creates a cushion for us if we ever were in another conflict. Politically, it creates better leaders that push for trade coming out of the US. Because leaders tend to be the proponents of war, we would like for them to be more proponents of trade, and that has been shown that more and more countries have been putting out trade and communication laws and rights for the future. There are some counters to all of this. Younger people tend to not want to be part of the change because they grew up in a time where they don't remember the war, or they weren't involved in it, or it was a peaceful time when they were born. But they can be taught that there are many benefits and that it's not all bad. Other countries feel threatened by a heightened sense of nationalism in the United States, kind of like when I proposed in the past how we came closer during the Vietnam War. It can threaten other countries because it seems that we might attack because we are so, let's go America. Death and pain for families that that lose people at war. But there are some solutions. We must learn from war, not create it. The solution to my problem is no war, but leaving the communication and the trade that comes along with it. Laws should be more of those laws should be passed between countries. Countries should become more cohesive with the United States so that it becomes a better society. Teaching children to be independent and strong in the American way will be one of the easiest ways. Because when you give a child, like Malala says, when you give a child a pencil, they can rule the world. And if you teach a child to be strong, they can do that. Also, make war less about putting people into the conflict and making sure our soldiers are spread out throughout the whole entire world evenly so that it makes a strong impact that the United States is there and is a good proponent. There are some limitations to my solutions. It can infringe on some of the rights that we hold as citizens. Also, having war can cause death, and that's not the main goal. But another solution I've not shown here is that, or another limitation I don't have presented here, is that having soldiers in countries can make the country feel unsafe because there are soldiers that can do harmful things to that country. But all in all, wars can be seen as negative and unuseful, but if we look at the past, present, and future, it has social, political, and economic benefits. And we must learn from wars, not create them. Thank you.
Okay, Grace, a couple of questions for you. The first one is, how did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process? And did your research go in a different direction than you had originally planned?
Yes, I originally wanted to do something how technology has influenced war, how it's created it, and created it. But as I was going through my research and using more closed off and better keywords, I started to see that as you look from the past to the future, going into the future, that war has its benefits. Yes, you lose people, but you also create alliances and create connections with other countries, which is mainly the main goal, to create a world where we're all communicating.
Okay, and your second question is, what might be the real-world implication or consequence of your findings, and then what are the implications to our community?
Some of the implications of my findings is that the implications of my findings are that as we implement them, they can cause some uproar between people, because while it's a democracy, there's parties within the democracy, and maybe this leans towards one side more than the other, and that can create a social divide. Within our community, it can create stress on people, because if soldiers are deployed, that's a lot of people's families that are leaving, and that can cause some issues.
Okay.